Imagine walking into a Viking hall after failing at something everyone expected you to accomplish. Perhaps your voyage returned with almost nothing. Perhaps another warrior earned the reputation you wanted. Perhaps someone younger than you received the praise you believed should have been yours. You step through the door expecting people to understand. You want them to know how hard you tried. You want them to know about the storm, the bad luck, the betrayal, the circumstances beyond your control. But the fire keeps burning. People keep talking. Someone laughs at the other end of the hall. And life moves on. The world does not stop because you are disappointed. That realization can either crush you or free you. Because sooner or later, every person discovers one uncomfortable truth. Other people may care about you, but they cannot live your life for you. They cannot build your character. They cannot develop your discipline. They cannot carry your fear. They cannot make your decisions. And they cannot rescue you every time life refuses to give you what you think you deserve. At some point, you have to stop looking at the crowd and begin working on the only person whose actions you truly control: yourself. The Havamal, the ancient collection of Old Norse wisdom often translated as the sayings of the High One, comes from a world very different from ours. A harsher world. A traveler might arrive at a distant farmstead without knowing whether the people inside would offer food or hostility. Reputation mattered. Trust mattered. Your judgment could protect you. A foolish decision could cost far more than embarrassment. And yet, despite the importance of reputation in that world, the Havamal understood something dangerous about depending too heavily on the opinions of others. In stanza 8, Benjamin Thorpe translates the old verse like this: "He is happy, who for himself obtains fame and kind words. Less sure is that which a man must have in another's breast." Think about that. Less sure is what must exist inside another person's heart, inside another person's mind. Their opinion of you, their approval, their admiration, their loyalty, their praise. All of these things can change. Today they admire you. Tomorrow they forget you. Today they criticize you. Tomorrow they may realize you were right. Today they promise they will always stand beside you. Then life changes. And so do they. Yet many people build their entire sense of worth inside that unstable place. Inside someone else's mind. And that is a dangerous place to live. Someone ignores your message, and you think about it for 3 hours. Someone criticizes your work, and you replay the conversation for 3 days. A stranger leaves one negative comment, and somehow that single sentence becomes louder than 100 people who said nothing. A colleague gets promoted, and suddenly their success feels like evidence of your failure. Someone doesn't invite you somewhere, and your mind begins creating conversations that may never have happened. Why didn't they choose me? Why didn't they answer? What do they think about me? Do they respect me? Do they think I'm weak? Do they think I'm successful? Do they think I'm a failure? We spend enormous amounts of energy trying to control a place we cannot enter. Another person's mind. There were no social media profiles in the Viking Age. No follower counts. No likes. No comment sections. But human nature was not invented by the internet. The desire for approval is ancient. So is envy. So is insecurity. So is the temptation to compare yourself with another person. Technology changed. Human weakness did not. The Havamal even speaks about the foolish man who lies awake at night, thinking endlessly about his problems, only to wake exhausted in the morning. while the problem remains exactly where it was. That image is centuries old. And yet it could describe someone lying awake tonight. Phone glowing in the darkness. Replaying something another person said. This is where Viking wisdom becomes uncomfortable. Nobody is coming to build your life for you. Your parents cannot do it. Your partner cannot do it. Your friends cannot do it. Your boss cannot do it. A motivational video cannot do it. And ancient wisdom cannot do it. Advice can point toward the road. But only you can walk it. If you want to become stronger, people can encourage you. But nobody can train your body for you. If you want financial stability, people can give you advice. But nobody can control your spending every day. Nobody can learn valuable skills in your place. If you want respect, you cannot force genuine respect from other people. You have to become someone whose actions deserve it. And this is where things get uncomfortable. Because blaming other people gives us protection. If my boss is the problem, I do not have to examine my weaknesses. If my parents are the problem, I do not have to examine my choices. If society is the problem, I do not have to examine my habits. Sometimes those outside problems are real. People can treat you unfairly. You can be betrayed. You can lose through no fault of your own. You can work hard and still fail. The Havamal does not describe life as fair. Its wisdom exists precisely because life is uncertain. But there is a difference between recognizing what happened to you and building your identity around what happened to you. One gives you information. The other gives away your power. So stop asking, why don't they see me? Ask a better question. What am I building when nobody is watching? Maybe nobody notices the hour you spend learning before work. Good. Learn anyway. Maybe nobody praises you for controlling your temper. Good. Control it anyway. Maybe nobody knows you are slowly paying off your debt. Good. Keep going. Maybe nobody understands why you stopped chasing people who never respected you. Good. Keep walking. A strong life is built through thousands of actions that receive no applause. That is difficult in a world where almost everything can become a performance. We announce the plan before doing the work. We post the workout before building the discipline. We share the goal before proving we can endure the process. We tell everyone what we are going to become. But there is another kind of strength. Quiet strength. The person who continues when nobody is impressed. The person who keeps a promise even when nobody else knows that promise exists. The person who does not require witnesses in order to remain disciplined. Consider a simple modern example. Imagine you have worked at the same company for 3 years. You believe you deserve a promotion. Then one morning, your manager announces that someone else got the position. You are angry. Maybe you are even humiliated. For the next week, your mind is consumed by one question. Why didn't they choose me? You complain to your friends. You study the weaknesses of the person who got the job. You watch your manager for signs of favoritism. You begin doing less work because you feel unappreciated. And without realizing it, another person's decision now controls your behavior. Try something different. Ask your manager one clear question. What 3 measurable things would I need to demonstrate to be considered for the next role? Listen carefully. Write down the answer. Then stop chasing reassurance. For the next 90 days, focus on what you can build. Spend 45 minutes each weekday developing one skill connected to the position you want. Keep a record of measurable results. Improve one weakness your manager identified. Update your resume. Build relationships outside your current department. Research opportunities elsewhere. At the end of those 90 days, perhaps you receive the promotion. Perhaps you do not. Perhaps another company recognizes your ability instead. But whatever happens, something more important has changed. You stopped spending your energy trying to control what existed inside your manager's mind. You invested that energy in what existed inside your own hands. That is the difference between seeking validation and building value. But there is an important warning. Focus on yourself can become terrible advice if you interpret it as, "I need nobody." That is not the wisdom of the Havamal. The same poem that warns against relying too heavily on another person's approval also speaks constantly about friendship, hospitality, generosity, loyalty, and companionship. In another stanza, the speaker remembers traveling alone and describes the joy of finding another human being. So the lesson is not, nobody cares about you, therefore care about nobody. The lesson is, do not make other people responsible for giving your life meaning. There is a huge difference. You can love people deeply without needing constant approval. You can listen to advice without surrendering your judgment. You can value friendship without being terrified of solitude. You can accept praise without becoming addicted to praise. And you can hear criticism without allowing criticism to become your identity. That is real independence. And here is our channel's perspective. One of the most important distinctions in life is the difference between connection and dependence. Connection says, I value your presence. Dependence says, I need your approval to value myself. Connection says, I will listen to your opinion. Dependence says, your opinion decides who I am. Connection makes relationships stronger. Dependence turns relationships into endless negotiations for validation. The goal is not to become cold. The goal is to become internally anchored. Build a life where praise is welcome, but unnecessary. Where criticism is considered, but not automatically obeyed. Where solitude can be uncomfortable, but not terrifying. Where success is appreciated, but not required for self-respect. Someone who reaches that point becomes very difficult to manipulate. Because you cannot easily control a person who is no longer desperate to be accepted. There is another image in the Havamal worth remembering. Several verses praise the value of having your own home. Even if that home is humble. Better your own small place than living completely dependent on another. We can understand that literally, but we can also turn it inward. Build an inner house. A place where your standards live. Where your discipline lives. Where your principles live. Where you decide what kind of person you are becoming. Most people leave the door of that house wide open. Every opinion walks inside. Every criticism rearranges the furniture. Every insult becomes permanent decoration. Every compliment becomes something they cannot live without. Close the door. Not to people. Not to friendship. Not to love. Close the door to ownership. Listen to people. Learn from people. Love people. But decide carefully what you allow to live inside you. Instead of asking, who cares about me? Ask, what am I becoming? Instead of asking, why don't they respect me? Ask, am I behaving in a way that I respect? Instead of asking, why isn't anyone helping me? Ask, What can I do today without waiting for help? Then begin small. Wake up when you said you would. Do the work you keep postponing. Train your body. Learn the skill. Save the money. Read the difficult book. Finish the project. Keep the promise that nobody else knows you made. You do not need to transform your entire life tonight. You need to stop abandoning yourself every time the world fails to applaud. Because one day, the applause will stop. Even if you become successful. Even if thousands of people know your name. Attention always moves somewhere else. Someone younger appears. Someone louder arrives. Someone more interesting becomes the subject of conversation. The Havamal understood the instability of reputation. But it also understood the importance of the actions from which reputation grows. That distinction matters. Do not chase the sound of people talking about you. Build the kind of actions worth talking about. And even more importantly, build actions you would still perform. If nobody ever knew. Because eventually, you will face moments when there is no audience. No encouragement. No applause. No one telling you that you are doing well. Those moments reveal whether your discipline truly belongs to you, or whether you borrowed it from the crowd. The world does not revolve around your disappointment. At first, that sounds cruel, but perhaps it is one of the most liberating truths you can hear. Because if the world is not constantly watching you, then you are free. Free to fail. Free to look foolish. Free to begin again. Free to change direction. Free to build quietly. Free to become stronger without asking permission. Other people have their own battles, their own fears, their own ambitions, their own mistakes. Some people may care about you deeply, but they cannot become you. That responsibility remains yours. So stop trying to live inside another person's mind. Come back to your own life, your own work, your own character, your own road. And when nobody is watching, keep walking. Because perhaps the strongest person is not the one everyone notices. Perhaps it is the person who no longer needs to be noticed. In order to continue, if this kind of Viking wisdom speaks to you, subscribe and join us as we continue exploring the Havamal and the old northern path of courage, judgment, friendship, and self-mastery. And before you go, answer one simple question. Would you rather be respected by everyone, or respect yourself?